All right. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, this is exciting. I am absolutely so pumped to be sharing my obsession with all of you. I found RAAD Fest online 2 years ago, and I just said, wow, I resonate with this community. This longevity thing is like, finally, I found people that have that same thing in me. So today, I am going to be talking about. I jumped ahead there. Smart fitness at any age. So over the course of 35 years, I've developed an exercise for framework that covers all the areas that a human being needs to enhance health span and optimize longevity. Because I believe exercise is a fountain of youth. It's almost cliche how many problems that exercise is a solution for, to the extent that we almost just ignore it because we're like, yeah, we know that, let's move on to the next thing. But I want to be here to remind you that this is truly, in my opinion, a miracle modality, because we don't want to just live a long time. We want to get the most utility out of this body, right? So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how we can do that. So I'll remind you of the benefits of exercise if you've forgotten. Better mood, weight loss, strong muscles and bones, increased energy levels, reduced risk of chronic disease, improved skin health, improved brain health and memory, improved sleep quality, reduced pain, reduced levels of stress and anxiety, and promotes a better sex life, right? So, this is a miracle modality that is, in my opinion, a force multiplier for all these other things that we add, right? I mean, I have a world-class supplement protocol. You know, I've optimized my hormones. I've tested my blood. I've used peptides. I use all the stuff that we talk about. Well, not all the stuff that's out there just yet. But it's the exercise that allows me to get the most out of that stuff. So who am I? Well, I'm a two-time Olympic gymnast. I have some credentials in terms of I've studied exercise physiology. But most importantly, the thing I want you to know is that I've had 35 plus years of being a consistent exerciser. And so that's allowed me to move through being a kid doing gymnastics to being a world-class athlete to being 1 year away from 50 and feeling I have no pain in my joints, I'm strong, I'm lean, I have a ton of energy, I maintain a single-digit body fat, which feels all effortless to me. And my protocol, my framework, now it supports people at any age, because what a human being needs is really what a human being needs. If you have 4 limbs and you're bound by the gravity of Earth and your food is still going to be comprised of protein, fat, and carbs, we all need the same thing, right? But don't think that an Olympic gymnast gets a free pass. So the picture on the left is me in my prime, around 26. And the picture in the middle is a couple of years after my retirement. So those were some pretty dark years. And I had sort of thought to myself, well, I worked out my whole life. I can live off the interest now for the rest of my life. I don't need to work out. I did that. I'm done with it. I can tell you I was surprised how fast it leaves you. I started gaining weight. I lost my physique. I was poofy. I had brain fog. My joints hurt. I didn't have as much energy. I was drinking a lot. When you start landsliding, your choices landslide with it too. My diet was completely non-discretional. And in my darkest hour, I said, you know what, this lifestyle is going to kill me. And I really thought, like, how do I turn this around? How do I find the motivation? And what worked for me was I said, you know what, I'm never going to retire from being an athlete. I own being a gymnast, and I'm going to hold on to that for the rest of my life. If I'm up here 800 years from now, I'm still going to be that guy, right? Thank you. And so let's talk about the Smart Fitness Framework. So the first thing, because look, we're all participants in the Longevity Olympics, whether you like it or not. We're all part of it, so let's win this damn thing, right? So the first thing we got to do is we got to get our minds straight. We got to reframe the way we think about exercise. We got to change our relationship to this. Too many people are dreading exercise, and we need to change that relationship. The second thing we need to do is we need to bulletproof our posture. And we need to be able to move without pain. We need to be flexible and malleable, right? Then the third thing we need to do is we need to build a strong, lean body, because strength is correlated with longevity. And metabolically active tissue, muscle, is a great disposal agent for glucose. So we, go through sarcopenia starting in our 40s, where we lose a pound of muscle a year. That's precious metabolic tissue that essentially, as that shrinks, you don't have the ability to keep a diet where you can appreciate and have fun with carbs, right? Because your disposal sink or sponge for glucose has shrunk. After we do that, we want to move on to our metabolic conditioning. So we're hybrid engines. We want to be able to easily and reflexively move through fat burning, through glucose burning. And so that will allow us to have the energy to move at various intensities. And no matter what we do, our metabolism supports that. And then finally, because I've been in this biohacking industry for a long time and I've tried just about everything out there, if you take this framework and you add all these things that we do, PMF, cold thermogenesis, photobiomodulation, exercise with oxygen therapy, peptides, hormones, all these things, supplements, you can start to recover and perform at what you do in life like as though you were a lot younger. And that's really what the hook that we have in this community that we can do if we add these other things. And then finally, you got to have good diet nutrition. So let's talk about the mindset. Now, I only had 20 minutes up here, and I really wanted to go through the entire framework, but since I don't have that much time, I figured what's the most important thing to talk about, and that is the mindset. Because if I can get you to think just a little bit differently, I might be able to get you to go from someone who doesn't work out or rarely works out to someone who says, hey, I want to try this lifestyle fitness. This guy seems like he knows what he's talking about. So how do we do that? How do we accomplish this? Because the two problems that I see is this. One, people dread exercise. They dread the thought of it. I have to work out immediately. They think bad thoughts. Who has that? Couple people, right? Oh, okay. Thought maybe more would have it, but I'll believe you. The second thing, I have it sometimes. The second thing is that people are only focused on the results. So let's talk about the first one first. Let's address that. So how do we change the way that we react to the responsibility of taking care of this body with exercise? Well, what we want to do is we want to actually start thinking from our values and not our emotions. Did anybody see the picture of Elon Musk vacationing in Greece? Yes, you saw it? Yeah, so I almost cried when I saw it because I'm a big fan of him. I have the utmost respect for what he does, but I could tell he wasn't doing much for his body. And if you juxtapose that against Jeff Bezos, who had these massive guns, he's on a jet ski in the air, like air underneath him, with a big smile on his face. And I thought, well, here's two guys that have all the money in the world, so they can afford the best of the best. They get stuff done, so it's literally, if they want it, they'll do it. What's the difference between those two? Anybody want to take a crack at that? So, to me, it's how much they value What are their values? Do they value this, right? So one of the exercises that I like to do, it's not super scientific. I didn't even make it up, but it works a lot of times. There's other ones that sometimes I'll use. It was called the 5 Why exercise. So it was invented by someone at the Toyota Motor Company. It's a root problem diagnostic tool. It goes something like this. Guy calls me up. Hey, Steve, I really want to start working on my health and fitness, and I want to get in shape. Can you help me out? Okay, why do you want to do that? Well, summer's coming, and when I take off my shirt, I want to look good, Okay, but why do you want that? Well, all the dads in the group that I hang out with, they all kind of make fun of me, and I'm just getting sick of it. Okay, why is that important? Well, I don't know, probably because when I was a kid, I was made fun of a lot, and it's had an effect on me. Oh, okay, well, why is that important now? Because I want to be a better role model for my kids. Now we're getting somewhere, right? So we went from taking off your shirt to looking good to I want to show up for my kids better and be a better role model for them, right? Look, we all have values. We all have some core, intrinsic, personal, deep, painful value that moves the needle in you. And we want to attach fitness to that so that we can, when we think about exercise, we're like, hell yeah, I'm going to exercise, right? And so, this idea of getting down in there and finding what it is, and it might take a little bit of work because you got to be honest with yourself, but when you hit it, the air will get sucked out of the room. That's what happens when someone speaks the truth, right? You feel it. It should be a visceral response in you. Why? Why? What's at risk for you if you don't do this? Why is that important to you? Then what I like to do is, once you have that, I like to put it on steroids. Not literally, but figuratively. So I'll be like, well, what does this guy look like that wants to show up? If in his best light, what does he act like? What does he do? How's his energy? How does he show up? What can we call him? Super Dad? Does that work for you? All right, Super Dad, right? So now we've taken this thing that is probably painful for you, because we all have those pains that we're trying to compensate for, and we've given it some sort of aspirational value, something we want to be, something we can act as if we can step into. I want to be Super Dad. I'm going to show up. This is what I want to be for my kids. I want to be a better role model for them. I'm going to teach them how to eat. I want them to be proud of me. I want them to view me as a rock, right? When we go back to my story, hey, I wanted to be a non-professional athlete for the rest of my life. I wanted to live as if I was an athlete. But what happens is when you add the superhero part to it and you go, what is the superhero version of this? Now I'm standing on stage, standing for you when you may not want to work out, right? I'm being that person that is part of my purpose now. This is a value that is a through line to who I am to helping people. So, attaching fitness to your values, doing that work. It might take some time. I suggest trying that 5 Why exercise. If that doesn't work, try asking, what's at risk if I don't do this? Keep asking yourself, what's at risk if I don't do that? What's at risk if I don't do that? The next thing is let's tackle the second problem. People only want results. I got to lose 30 pounds. I need to get in my wedding dress. I need to do whatever it is, fill in blank. I need this. I need that. If you are only focused on the results, you will never get them. I'll give you an example of how I figured this out in my life. When I was trying to make my first Olympic team in 1996, when I was the best gymnast I probably ever was, should have been a walk in the park, that Olympic team symbolized everything for me. It was going to validate all my sacrifice, everything that I did. When I made that, yes, I wanted those Olympic rings tattooed on me. I wanted to be in that fraternity. Like, it was going to be the defining thing for me. That's how important it was. But the problem with that is I wasn't an Olympian until I became an Olympian. So it was always out of arm's reach. And I inevitably missed that team. And it made me realize, because it actually was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, it made me realize that you can't get what you want if you're always focused on the outcome. What you want to do is you want to focus on your process and perfect your process so that you become the person who's worthy of those results. Right? So that's what I did. Fast forward 4 years later, trying to make the 2000 Olympic team. I'm at the 2000 Olympic trials. NBC interviews me and they say, "So you think you're going to make the Olympic team this time?" And I said, "Honestly, I don't think about making the Olympic team." I said, "What I think about is this. Whatever gymnastics apparatus is in front of me, that's my world, and I do the best possible routine that I can do. Whatever comes next, whatever apparatus is next, that's my world. I do the best possible routine that I can do. If I continue to do that, I know I'll be happy with the results." Well, I made that Olympic team. And I realized that you have to act as if you're an Olympian already, Stephen. You got to live that so that you can be worthy of being called an Olympian every day. Live it as though you are it, right? So that you are making choices moment by moment by moment, small wins constantly. And let me be honest with you, it is way easier to get results when you just take those small wins as they come, right? Living in your purpose, right? Got my values set. I'm acting as if. That's easy. Because guess what? If I keep walking like this and I keep doing those little wins, I'm going to get to the end of that stage, right? So it's hard in one fell swoop to to get everything you want in life, and if you're lucky, you probably won't appreciate it. So that's kind of the way I like to think about exercise. And this work is so important because it is what turns on the light bulb for you to go, okay, I want that. I want to show up in my purpose with my full faculties. I don't want to wait for the magic bullet that we're all going to eventually get, right? So I got some extra time here. Let's talk about, here we go. We're ready for Stephen's 4 rules of exercise. So what I've noticed is that successful people live by a very simple set of rules. That's why we read their biographies, right? We're like, oh, they just did these 4 things and that's how they got successful, right? But they did it their whole life. So these are my 4 rules of exercise. And if you do this, I don't know how you won't be successful. Number 1, have a get-it-done mindset. Stop dreading exercise. You're thinking about the hardest part of exercise. Break it down. Your first step is just get to the gym. You can do that. That takes nothing, right? So you have 2 options. Don't even think about your workout, or just draw it out. Why are you thinking about how hard it's going to be? You're not even there yet. You're down here. You've been sitting on your butt for 5 hours, and you expect to think, oh, exercise is going to be fun? Have a get-it-done mindset. Stop that garbage right now, okay? Number 2, workout is sacred. Don't be in there scrolling on your phone. Don't be in there having hour-long conversations. Get in there and get those returns that you want. This is why people are like, I tried workout, it doesn't work for me. Really? Did you really work out? The time on clock is very, very fast when you work out. You only spend a few minutes working out really that is intense. Number 3, have a plan. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Because it's about the journey and you're going to be the process. You'll be refining your process over time. It does not have to be perfect, but you need to have something that you're driving towards, that you're getting done. And then number 4 is my favorite one. Never go 4 consecutive days in a row without a workout. I don't care who you are. I have worked with top elite athletes. You give them 4 days off, that's how they walk in. They don't want to work out. You will have lost all your momentum, right? When you stay in a rhythm, there's no cognitive expense, emotionally or mentally. It's a habit. It's like brushing your teeth. that's how it's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It just gets easier and easier, and you get stronger and stronger, and you get more fit, and you're like, this is so easy, I can't believe no one's doing this, okay? Take a snapshot of these 4 rules. Just try it, okay? So I'm running at about the end of time, but what I want to do is, since I don't have time to give you the rest of the framework, we're going to blast through this thing, and I'm just going to give you to the last page where you can go to my website. The framework is just there. Take a look at it. Take a look at it. You can even download it as a free ebook, not selling you anything. And let me just close out with this. This community is one of the brightest communities I've ever seen. Like, you guys are brilliant. But let's not be so forward-thinking that we don't bring with us the things we know that work, okay? Like, let's all win this longevity Olympics together, and let's bring exercise into that, and let's leverage it, because I promise you, you will not regret it. You will not regret working out. You'll feel amazing, I promise you. So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for letting me share it with you.